Kia ora, good evening and welcome to the 100th episode and our season finale of the Huddy Hui. It's great to finish off the season in style, and also we welcome back Adam Julian as co-comments. Of course, Adam was there right from day one when we started this Hui back in lockdown in 2020. And Adam, it's good to see you. How are you doing up there in the city of Sales?
Nice to be back, Brad, and congratulations on your meritorious milestone. Since I departed, the ratings have boosted considerably, so that's a magnificent achievement. And what a curious time to come off the program at the moment. The Wallabies in complete disarray, the World Cup heating up, and the Wellington Lions on a 21-game win streak, Brad. That is a record for the province. Last Sunday, they successfully defended the Ranfurly Shield against North Harbour 26-6. And that meant that they won 19 consecutive NPC games, and that's a record too. And our guest tonight, Brad, has been a massive part of that magnificent run.
And he certainly has been. And Dominic Bird is our guest on the Huddy Hui tonight. Dominic, many thanks for coming on the Hui. It was a tough win against North Harbour last Sunday out at Paravura Park, Jerry Collins Stadium. How tough was that second half? Because it got quite niggly out there.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and we knew they were going to be tough and physical, and they've definitely found a bit of form in this latter part of the season, and some quality guys in there for sure. So no, it was tough. It took a bit of grinding down, and we got there in the end. But it was physical battle for sure.
Now the penalty count was interesting in that game. It took 18 minutes for the first penalty to be awarded in the first half, but then the penalty count was quite high against the Wellington Lions. How is the team sort of addressing that after Sunday?
Oh, hey, we do pride ourselves on being pretty well disciplined, and obviously we look at all that and critique and refine. But hey, we do pride ourselves on being onside on defence, the basic ones, and then not giving away stupid penalties. So. Yeah, we'll sharpen that up for sure, and that's going to be important going forward. Obviously, these finals body where discipline is almost one of the first, ticks boxes you need to tick in order to win. So,
and of course, defence this season. Sorry, Adam, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, Dominic, Hawkes Bay this weekend. You're from that part of the world. Explain where you're from in the Hawkes Bay originally.
Yeah, originally from Waipak, grew up in Waipukaro, so that's central Hawkes Bay, in the southern part, and so I grew up playing footy with Tom Parsons, and actually grew up playing in the sandpit together. But it's home. The old man's up in Hastings still, and it's always good going up against. Your old teammates. You played a lot of rugby with Brad Weber at a younger age, and so it makes it all that much more special.
So when did you migrate elsewhere? And tell us more about this relationship with Tom Parsons. Is that pretty unique to go from the Sandfit to the Ranfurly Shield fit?
Yeah. I mean, it's great, and both big locks is good. So, I get along well with Tom, and we're actually both at Lincoln University as well. But, and then the likes of Webby and Gareth Evans has finished up there, but we're pretty tight as well. And so there's a lot of guys there that, played a lot of footy with or against over the years. And, like I say, it makes those battles fun when you're playing against your mates and people you know well, so it's good.
And so Lincoln was for a farming scholarship, but also your rugby took off down there. Explain your beginnings at Canterbury and why that was so successful for you.
Yeah, I guess I was really lucky. Lincoln University was my mum was kind of helped direct me down that way, and obviously a smart thing to do, and then I was lucky enough to get linked in with the academy, with Canterbury Academy, the machine that was back then. I mean, I look at the guys that I went through that academy stuff with, and everyone kind of pushed on, so I guess that plays a big part did play a big part in getting me to where I am now for sure. Gave me a lot of the basics, and everyone can see that I mean, it's not. Hey, Canterbury footy's changed a little bit lately, I think, but it definitely used to be a real machine of churning out some quality players for a while there.
Who are some of the guys in the Canterbury Academy that perhaps aren't household names that were so successful in making the machine such a successful one?
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear all that. What was that, sorry?
I was just saying, who are some of the personalities in that Canterbury Academy that perhaps aren't household names that were so influential in that?
Oh, that aren't household names. I mean, the household names are guys like Nipo Lalala, Joe Moody, Cody Taylor. But there's other guys who are real class players as well, like Joel Leveson, who's still playing club footy in Christchurch, Michael Stewart, both good mates of mine, and I had a huge number of guys that went through that same couple of years as me, and yeah, it's I have very fond memories, and they're obviously doing something right then, and yeah, because a lot of guys did push on.
In 2011, you were part of the All Black junior team that won the tournament over there. What was that experience like winning the under-20 competition?
Oh, that was pretty unreal. I mean, we're lucky to be in Treviso in Italy and soak that up. I mean, and I look back, there's a lot of players that have kicked on from that year. I know, especially our team, you go back through that starting lineup, it was pretty star-studded. But the experience as a whole, yeah, hey, brilliant. You know, you're young bucks, 19, 20-year-olds, and getting over there, the other side of the world, get a taste of what that footy's like. Sorry, I'll turn the telly on. But I don't know how the hell that's turned itself on. But yeah, no, so yeah, hey, that trip was unreal, and we had a lot of fun and a good quality side, and to win it was special.
In 2013, you were given the great honour of being selected into the All Blacks for the first time. Tell us about when you made your debut against Japan in November of that year. What was the feeling like when you pulled out and saw the black jersey for the first time?
Well, I mean, the real distinct memory for me, obviously pulling out the black jersey and getting to put it on in the change room was massive, but just the feeling of the week was huge. You know, guys like Richie McCaw and Dan Carter and all the likes. It was a fairly mature squad at that stage, and to be in there as a young buck, yeah, it was intense and pretty surreal. You know, that week was really surreal. You know, you're just hyper focused and not wanting to put a foot wrong, and in some ways, I guess now, and a few years down the track, get better at taking your time to appreciate moments. And yeah, I was just so young and just so focused and just on the edge of my seat, just wanting to nail everything. And I'd love to be able to go back and just, be a fly on the wall or sit back in that same seat, in that same meeting room again, just to feel that again.
Why couldn't you be back in the All Blacks, Dominic? This World Cup is a very tough, forward-orientated World Cup. You played a lot in France. It would seem tailor-made, the kind of conditions over there for you right now.
Oh, cheers! I appreciate that. Well, hey, it's a real compliment. But no, hey, I think they've got the good guys over there. Yeah, it's proving a big physical and very. They're playing in France and a lot of those teams, South Africa, Ireland and France itself, are playing that physical Northern Hemisphere rugby, and yeah, that's going to be the tough part for us to match for sure. Hey, I'd love to be playing there, but no, that's I think that's for those guys. Yeah.
How do you combat that physical rugby, Dominic? Because it looks like it's going to be very difficult for the All Blacks. What did you learn from that style of rugby that you brought back here?
Oh, well, hey, just like anything, you've got to match physicality, and you've got to go one better, or you've just got to play really smart and use your own strengths, whether it's your fitness as a team and moving guys around the park, or controlling the game in other ways, and just playing expansive. I guess and that's how the All Blacks have always done it, is just play that real expansive, electric footy, and teams just can't keep up no matter how big and strong they are. So, I mean, that would be my answer, I guess.
And there's a big milestone tomorrow for a great mate of yours and a magnificent student of New Zealand rugby. Sam Whitelock, 149th Test match. Share some experiences playing with Sam.
Sorry, just repeat that last bit again about
just share some experiences about Sam Whitelock, the player and the person, because he's someone that you had a lot of time with.
Yeah. I mean, hey, Sam's a hell of a professional. He's a very dedicated and hardworking, tough man, and hey, he's you can see with a stat like that, he's well and truly dedicated himself to his craft, and yeah, I mean, for me, the real influence, and I guess it was part of that kind of growing up and starting my career in Canterbury, was around guys like him, was understanding the depth of thinking that goes into the line out, and he was always really good at passing on knowledge. He was pretty selfless like that. He was a competitor and put himself, first in terms of competing. But when it came to, growing the likes of myself or any other younger guys, I do give him a lot of credit for putting his ego on a hook and sharing knowledge and wanting the team to grow.
Speaking about sharing knowledge, your partnership in the line-out this year has been with the young Hugo Plummer. Tell us how he's grown in the competition, and what advice have you passed on from what you've learned from playing against some of the greats?
Oh, I mean, Huggs, I love that man. He's a good, humble, very hard-working young fella, and he's got a great build for it. He's been really physical around the rucks, especially. He's good at nailing people there, and I've been very impressed with how he's come on. I mean, hey, it's always the line-out stuff for me. I mean, that's definitely been a big part of my DNA, that really controlling line-out, and I guess that's one thing as a line-out leader group, and Hugo's part of that. He's come a long way, and that's what I guess I try to pass on to him, is that you just got to really own it, and I know he's getting the hang of that, and that's our main baby, So taking control and using your brain and making it your baby. Yeah.
That's such an unfamiliar jack for a Wellington rugby player. Well, what's changed in the Lions? Because it used to be, Dominic, when you and the Canterbury side, you stuff us to the forward, we had no mongrel, and all of a sudden we've got mongrel, we're good on defence, and we're good in the set piece. So they're not sort of Wellington trademarks.
Yeah, well, I guess you got to give a lot of credit to the coaches and stuff as well. I mean, Tams has been excellent at growing that defence, and I guess that you look at guys throughout the team. We've got a lot of guys that have got a lot of hunger in them and desire to be physical. So, and once you kind of get that, and the team starts to feed off each other, it's a bit of a snowball effect. So, yeah, I'd like to think that the set piece, I've been a big part of, pride myself on that. But yeah, the team are pretty hungry to be physical, and then it makes it easy. Yeah.
Do you think the team is much better than last year, or do you have another level to reach before you can emulate what you did in Christchurch?
Oh, we're on the build. We're definitely growing, and I know we're capable of a lot. So we're just going to have to keep ticking the boxes, keep smashing out our weeks, and finding more and more energy and more different avenues for different avenues to gather as much of that energy to go out there and exert it on the weekends. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why we should be going flat out, and hey, there's no shortage of desire. So we'll get there. We'll be humming. I'm very confident in our current state and confident in what we'll do in the few weeks to come here.
Now, what's quite unique about you, Dominic, in particular, is that if you are selected this Saturday, it'll be your 15th Ranfurly Shield game, making you one of the most experienced in the NPC competition. Tell us what it's like for you and the team when you're the Shield holders and you have to lift your game to defend it.
Well, yeah. Hey, simple as that. You do have to lift your game to defend it. It's another team is coming to take something that is yours, and that something is ours to defend. The games are always intense, and Hawkes Bay know how to play Shield footy. They've proven that in the last couple of years. So they're aware of that, and they'll have it within them. So. Yeah, we're just going to go out hard and then stick to our process and nail our basics. It's still a game of footy, so you're still just going to do the simple stuff.
What's been the biggest surprise for you since playing for Wellington?
Sorry, what was that? Biggest what? Surprise?
Biggest surprise or thing that's been different about being in Wellington?
With in Wellington itself, or you mean in the Wellington rugby?
Both.
Oh, hey, the biggest pain in the ass is the weather. I tell you, when you got line-out practice and it's blowing a gale, I tell you, it does your head in. But no, I mean, hey, it's really enjoyable to come here and play with such class players. I mean, it's always been the case that Wellington's had a lot of talent, a lot of flair and skill. So, and we're just finally kind of, I guess the difference is at the moment we're getting to a point where we can still execute and play smart with it. So, I'm not surprised or anything, but that's just one great point. Yeah.
And what about some of the injured players? Can you give us an update on, say, Astafo Moore and some of the guys who are due to come back to this roster?
Yeah, well, I mean, has the team been named yet for this week, officially?
No, which is why I've asked you.
Oh, well. Yeah, well, I don't know if I get in trouble or not for saying it before it goes out. I don't know what the story is. But no, Bus is back this week anyway, so that's a big one. There's inside Scoop. Bus is back on the bench this week, which is a big one. He's a local boy that's a local man. Sorry, that's he's hungry and he's hopefully ready to run over some people.
Well, Dom, it's been fantastic having you on the Huddy Hui tonight. All the best on Saturday against Hawkes Bay on Old Timers Day, and hopefully the rest of the NPC campaign goes well for you.
Cheers, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tom.
See you guys.
Well, Adam Julian, a player that's really added a lot of size and bulk to the Wellington Lions since he joined roughly 2 seasons ago.
Oh, he's been magnificent, Dominic Bird. He's the tallest ever All Blacks, so that obviously helps with restarts, kick-off contests and line-outs. But his whole demeanour, as you saw in that interview, is very humble, very diligent and very uncompromising. And that's precisely what the Wellington Lions needed for so long as Dominic alluded to, we had this magnificent talent which underwhelmed. But now with a gnarly veteran like Bird in there, 9 to 5, socks up, job's done, and if the ruthlessness is not as efficient as he wants it to be, I'm sure the consequences are immense. Dominic Bird, perhaps the single biggest reason why the Wellington Lions are on a 21-game winning streak. And how good has Brad Shields been too, Brad? That's been a magnificent signing, and really he's added so much starch and leadership to that back row. There's real competition for places. Keenan Whitman struggling to get the look in, but when he has been, he's been very good. Salianowaki and Dominic Bird, such an integral part of the Ori's Jubilee Cup success. They've been strong too. And Caleb Delaney is coming back from injury as well. Julian Sylvia back as well. And hopefully Asako will move before the end of the season.
Yeah, that's right. And we've got some, as you mentioned, a lot of good players coming through. A lot of young guys too as well that have really come through the system. We've got a good crop of young flankers at the moment as well. But I've been really impressed with how they've been able to continue on from the successes of last year, and they've actually made defending the Ranfurly Shield relatively easy. And the fact is also, I think, the other thing we can talk about too is that we literally sent nearly a club rugby side down to play Canterbury, and we beat them down there in Christchurch. It's not a feat that happens very often.
That was the third game at the end of a difficult storm week, and Wellington won a classic and spectacular victory, 36-31. It was a typical Wellington-Canterbury match in the sense that Wellington began brilliantly, established a large lead. Canterbury scored a jammy try, and then all of a sudden our forward pack did its best to implode. Dominic Bird wasn't on the field that day. He's no longer a part of the broadcast anyway. And somehow, some way, Wellington scored 2 long-range tries. Lossie Filippo really blossoming this year, a part of that. And Wellington hung on grimly for a win. And that character and fortitude and organisation on defence has been such a big part of this 21-game win streak. 7 times, Brad, Wellington have only conceded a try or left in that streak. So defence a massive part of the equation. And that win in Christchurch, who in New Zealand, apart from Wellington Club Rugby, fervent followers like us, have heard of guys like TJ Clark, Josh Southerall, and Chicago Doyle, but they really stood up that day and made us very proud.
Oh, they sure did, and that's right. And, there's still a long way to go in this competition. It's the last round this weekend, but, quarters, semis and finals to come up as well. And, of course, the Lions have already booked home semi-final. So they're up top of the charts. They can't be taken off first place at the end of the regular season. So pretty much this is our last episode of the season. It's our 100th episode, Adam Julian. There's been plenty of highlights since we started this show back in 2020. What's some of your highlights when you've been on the Huddy?
Well, the fact that you've made 100 with half the episodes not including me, that's a wonderful tribute to its host, Bradley Hudson, with a rated cross to Mr. Hudson. What a great service you do, not only for the community on a weeknight when we're desperately waiting for rugby, but of course your live streaming operation has become a behemoth, and it is widely appreciated, not just in Wellington, but all around the country. Actually, you've got yourself out there with water polo and Paralympic rugby and Festival rugby. It's really been a great initiative on your behalf. In terms of highlights, well, I thought Wilson was an Olympic gold medalist we featured on the program. That was a wonderful episode. What a champion he is. Hucko Sportsman of the Year and just a wonderful New Zealander. Daryl Silsil was a great guest early on. 2-time Black Ferns World Cup winning coach, was very honest and open with us. Ben Pettit, who can forget him? 13-year-old New Zealand 10-pin bowling senior champion, and he's still killing it, that lad. He's one to follow in the future. And obviously all the local yokels, ourselves included, that just enjoyed talking footy.
Exactly, and I think one of our highlights was probably very early on, actually, was when we got All Black on the show, and Dane Coles, and what a fascinating interview that was. That sort of probably put us on the scene, really, that interview.
Well, he's the oldest player in the World Cup, and he's on the bench for that Italian test on Saturday, and there's a reason why he's there, because his refreshing honesty in both his personal conduct and his physical conduct is enduring and appealing, and hopefully he can retire with the fruits of World Cup success. It's going to be difficult for the All Blacks, but regardless, he's one of the true greats. I mean, one of the highlights of the rugby year. I'll give you my three rugby highlights of the year, Brad. The first one, in no particular order, was the Hurricanes beating the Crusaders 27-26, coming from a mile behind in that last round robin match. Brad Yossi, who I've known personally for a long time, magnificent match-winning try. And I watched that game in Hamner Springs, Canterbury. I was the only Wellingtonian there, and so that was a very productive night. It wasn't a very safe one for a brief second, but they were
down in Canterbury, no.
That the Hurricanes had won the game, and I guess the second highlight was Ori's surge to the Jubilee Cup. What a magnificent effort that was. They were ninth, won 6 games in a row, which is unheard of, to capture the prize, and they got better each week. In fact, I talked to Isaac Bracewell about a fortnight ago for a Heartland rugby story I was working on, and he said that it got easier each week, which it sounds strange, but it's true, because it was reflecting the way they played, and they developed such a mercenary mentality that they were just unstoppable by the end of the year. And my favourite rugby story of the year doesn't actually concern the Wellington area. It was Southland Boys High School winning the national top 4. First time since 2013 a South Island school even won a game at the national competition. It's only the 15th time in 72 games that a South Island school has beaten North Island opposition since 1982. And Southland won the game with a drop goal kicked by year 11, Jimmy Taylor, from 45 metres out. And furthermore, Southland were missing 5 of their starting 15, and the coach, Jason Herman, he's the brother of Clark Islanders coach, and he had 7 relatives who played for Southland. And Peter Scalp, who was the assistant coach, coached Jason in the first 15. So it was a wonderful story of community loyalty and tough southern grind. Southland Boys High School, national top 4 champions this year. Just a wonderful story.
Yeah, another sort of trivia question, Adam, is when was the last time Hamilton Boys didn't make the top 4? Of course, Tauranga knocked them out in the Chiefs final.
Well, that's right. That was a real upset too. 33-26 was the score in that game. Hamilton won 18 out of 20 this year, but missed the national final for the first time since 2015. They've been ever present at the top 4 since 2015. A remarkable record they fashioned under their 2 stalwart coaches, Nigel Davis and Greg Kirkham. 345 wins they had in 404 matches dating back to 2003. In 2003, Brad, Ron Williams was at the top of the charts. That's how long these guys have been hitting the right notes, the Hamilton Boys.
No, it's just a factory up there in Hamilton, that's for sure. Of course, let's think about some other sort of things. Club Rugby Player of the Year. I know you've kept watching from afar, but who would be one player, in your opinion, that would have been the Club Rugby Player of the Year? But I'd probably have to go on a sort of a wild one here and probably say Louis Northcote from Parramatta Plympton. He was just a try-scoring machine. Who was your one?
Well, Louis Northcote was a sensation this year. Bradley was so good, in fact, he earned his Wellington Lions debut, and guess what? First time he touched the ball, he scored a try. Hard to go past Dominic Bird. For me, he was so accomplished in the lineups, and you can see his professional future unfolding in the Wellington Lions this year. He's been very influential in their success. He made a try-saving tackle against Tasman late in the game, which kept the Ranfurly Shield in the capital, and Rugby was so dominant in the final that he scored 2 tries, and when he kicked the ball out to terminate the game, he actually put Bob Smith's daughter in the head. Bob Smith is a life member of Parramatta Plympton, so talk about rubbing it in even more.
Oh, exactly. And of course, moving ahead into thinking about next season, the club rugby scene was, our usual standing teams that mainly out the top weren't there. Are we expecting to see that again in 2024? What's your feelings going in the off-season, heading towards 2024?
Well, there seismic change in the Wellington brand. It really was a huge shift to clubs that haven't been successful. I expect Upper Hutt to continue growing. They've got the best facilities in New Zealand now. They've got Brewtown, which is craft beer Disneyland, across the road from the New Zealand Institute of Sport, and Maidstone Park will be refurbished as well. That's a very appealing proposition for any player. Parramatta Plymouth, if they can retain the same coaching staff that drove them to such heights, then there's no reason to expect why they can't repeat their success. Johnson was the most interesting story for me, Brad. They basically sourced their talent from local production lines and had good coaching and good game plan, and probably achieved way beyond what anybody would expect. So they too will recruit aggressively in the summer. Old Boys University, perhaps the victim of being a university club, lots of movement there, and they've got a lot of players in the top brass at the moment. Caleb Delaney, Kyle Preston among them, and Tane Plumtree, our friend, who was one of our very first guests, Brad, played two test matches for Wales. What an effort from Tane Plumtree.
Yeah, and unfortunately he picked up an injury that kept him out of the World Cup, which was a bit of a shame, because I think he would have probably been there for Wales. And speaking about this weekend, of course, the All Blacks are playing Italy, and they're going into that game pretty nervously. But there's also two other big finals in Australasia. Of course, you've got the AFL final, and then on Sunday, the Panthers and the Broncos, and the NRL Grand Final. Sort of two blockbuster finals coming up. And, of course, going back to All Blacks Italy, Italy are a much improved side compared to since the last time they played them.
Well, someone who spent some time in Richmond, Melbourne, I have no interest whatsoever in Collingwood versus Brisbane, so we'll step past that. In terms of the All Blacks Italy, well, Italy are vastly improved under Kieran Crowley, but they've only won a single Six Nations game in 3 years, so the All Blacks should be good enough to dispatch them. Interesting, the All Black selection is the same team pretty much from France. It's the same team that won those games earlier in the year. Not a lot of risk or innovation in the All Black selections. I wonder if there was a case for putting Will Jordan at full back and dispensing of Beauden Barrett, who's struggled this year. The midfield combination hasn't been that productive. And after watching Ireland versus South Africa, I struggle to see how the loose forwards are going to get at the ball. Maybe Andy Spears needs to back an open side, and the number 8 needs to change too. But it's very late in making these calls. Of course, you don't want to adopt the Eddie Jones approach. 6 captains, no, that's what the shambles is. And the All Blacks, Italy is obviously a game that we should win. And then we've got to play Uruguay, and that will be winnable too. It kind of feels like it's dragging out this World Cup a bit. We know more or less what the final situation is going to be, but we've still got another fortnight to wait. It's still a phony war at the moment.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's been a long, dragged-out World Cup, and particularly gone from 6 weeks to 8 weeks, so definitely a long tournament indeed. Hard to sort of keep the interest, really. So, but we've sort of come to the end of the Hui for the night and for the year. Adam Julian, many thanks for coming on, and hopefully we'll see you around the traps and the rugby paddocks in 2024.
I'm bound to.
Yeah, and many thanks to our guest, Dominic Bird, for coming on the Huddy Hui tonight, and hope him and the Lions all go well on Saturday. It's at Sky Stadium. They take on Hawkes Bay. So that is the 100th episode of the Huddy Hui, and our final one for 2023. We'll be back in 2024. The week starting of club rugby in Wellington, yet to be confirmed. And I'm Brad Hudson. Ciao for now.